life has been crazy. Just wanna be okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me. Everything's changing, just trying to navigate. Oh, I keep on believing I'm gonna find my way with every day. I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. 'Cause nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. 'Cause nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me.
What up? Wednesday, Keeley-Dunn FH Umpires third team high. And whoa, if you were just watching Pakistan France at the Nations Cup, what an exciting game. And every time Nick and Todd talked about how exciting it was to have Pakistan back in World Level Hockey, you know, I was sort of, okay, right. They're just absolutely right. They bring something very, very special. So if you don't know about that game, get that game on your replay. Hi, Tom. Good to see you. And Matthijs, good to see you. First one for you to watch live. Hold it. I hope that worked. Let me know if all of the things are working. Sound effects, did they work? Let me just see.
Squirrel.
Yep, it looks like it from my end. You let me know if it if it's there. Yeah, very much worthwhile. The air horn is okay. Yeah, I've been doing some things, some changing. 1% improvement every week. If I can just get 1% better, it'll be worth it. All right, we have so much to go through. I absolutely, my hubris is excessive today. We are going to try to get through a whole bunch of clips grouped by very vague categories, as you will see, because here are topics: penalty stroke things, free hit things. Actually, it's just one thing. It's just one clip. Card things, tackling from behind things, and penalty corner things. Can anybody else verify that there's something wrong with my microphone? Or if it's just staying on his end? Let me know, please. And good to see you, Scott. And I'm sorry, but Simon!
How you like that?
Good to have you. It's been a long time. My mic is thin indeed. I wonder what's happening. Chris microphone, let's give it, I sound very thin. Let's try doing this. How is that? Let me know. I've got sound okay. Okay. So I've got a few votes for thin. Let me know if that has fixed it. We're on ultra low latency today. We are broadcasting in 1080p. It should be the expensive mic. This is the expensive mic. And I just changed it to Shure MV7, so that should be working. Mic okay now. Okay, so it was the crisp. If there's a lot of outside interference, I have the door open. So if you can hear construction noises outside, please let me know. Okay, excellent. Let's get to it. Don't just stand there. Let's get to it. Strike a pose. There's nothing to it. Penalty stroke things. Hi. All right, here we go.
You know what's coming. So
FIHProLeague. This was Belgium,
Australia.
Australia.
This time, well, it's squeezed through, and a stroke has been awarded here to Belgium.
Sarah? Because I want to be sure. I want to be sure for you too. Nah, but I do want to be sure. It's my right to check. Sarah, I've given a stroke for it hitting the body, but can I actually just check if the keeper was behind her and maybe would have stopped it? Should I go for a penalty corner instead?
Okay, I'll look to have see where the goalkeeper is.
Yeah.
Stroke or penalty corner.
Exactly. Thank you.
Kept busy.
yeah, Belgium changed it up. Ball goes to the second cut. It goes to BELvCHN, who can manage to go around the first runner. And for me, the line stop is way in front of the goalkeeper. It's a good flick. I think the second runner, yeah, straight on the body of Squib.
It's more about mixing it up at the top of the circle here, Belgium.
For the
Letting the viewers know exactly what we can see. All sorts of angles.
There are no
that are
polls
available
today
to
because
Ali,
we
there
have
is
too
no
much.
clear reason to change your decision. Stay with the penalty stroke.
So
Yeah, I
just
don't
check
understand
your
it, to be
opinions in
honest.
the chat, super
The
fast,
goalkeeper is
as fast as
clearly
you
behind the
can.
line stop.
Get it in there.
The call was a penalty stroke, and they double-checked it on the video, and it was clearly to see that the goalkeeper was behind the line stop. So even though she might not have a chance to save that ball, she was still behind her, and that's what the rule says. If the goalkeeper is behind the line stop, then it's no penalty stroke, it's a penalty corner. And I think we've heard very clearly what the thoughts of Australia there is.
Okay, so I decided, because I'm a jerk, that I wanted to include those comments that happened at the changeover, because it's a good indication of just how much you have to apply a critical lens to what commentators say. Because Toby Walter, hey, unbelievable goalkeeper, top notch, just retired from the German national team, is going to play with my best friend, Joop de Mol, at Orange Road next season, but doesn't know a very important rule that you would think that a goalkeeper would want to know. So the criterion for whether this should be a penalty stroke under 12 point, 12 point which? Oh, I've moved all my buttons and now I don't know where my rules are. Oh, I know what I've done here. Anyway, Rachel, look it up for me. I think it's 12.4. 12.4. Thank you, Simon. Well done, you. Good to have you there. Is whether it's a probable goal. There is nothing in the rules, nothing in the guidance, nothing that says if the goalkeeper is behind the defender on the vertical or the horizontal plane, that means it can't be a penalty stroke. That's just bullshit. That doesn't exist. It is one factor that you would include as to whether the goalkeeper would have saved the ball or whether it was probably going in the goal. So that is exactly what we're going to look at, is the chance of this being saved. Now, there are a few people on the Instagrams and the Facebooks and things like that that said to me that they thought the shot was going wide. And of course, if you're applying the criterion and you're looking through things, you're going to try to examine if this ball is going wide and it hits a player above their body. I don't believe that a defender who gets hit outside of the realm of the goal should be held responsible for their decision to stand, near the goal line in order to block a shot, because they're not expecting that ball to not go on target. And we apply a stricter criterion in that situation to what is dangerous. Now, that shot trajectory, I think people got a little confused because the angle that we have, this is a fisheye lens right behind the goal. Not even behind the goal, it's from inside the goal. And that means that what we're going to see is warped from back here. So trying to determine whether this is coming at goal or not, if this is a shot at goal, this is not a good angle to do it at. What you need to go by is more the front angle or this angle. And from that angle, it looks to me like it's going close enough to being a shot at goal. Okay. That is a shot at goal that doesn't actually have to go in the goal. You apply strict criterion. Even then, I think that is absolutely fine. Then, was this a probable goal? Given that the goalkeeper, in the moment that she's going to try to save this ball, and let me say right from the get-go that I'm a massive fan of Bartram. I think she is the goalkeeper of the year 2023. I think she's brilliant. Now, the ball is hitting up here in the midriff, and Bartram is kicking out with her pad, and her blocker is here. Is that ball probably going in the goal? And I did a stream ages ago that maybe I should link to about what I think a probable goal is. And I said, you know what? When you look at all the dictionary definitions and common parlance and things like that, 75% chance is good enough to be probable. Well, that's a 75% chance. The line stop, as is now like the word of the year in hockey, because I heard it so often in in all the tournaments or in all the matches that Toby Valter was commentating on. Just because they're behind, or just because the goalkeeper is behind the line stop, doesn't mean they have a good chance at saving it. Okay, so that's all that is there. And Simon, there you go. Keeper's at full stretch. Ball's going over the kicker pad. Had it been stick side, she may have had a chance. Well, depending on where it was going, of course. For Rachel, goal bound for you. Chance enough for the penalty stroke. Yes, under 12.4A. So again, critical lens with what you're hearing. Don't be a I was gonna use a term that is insulting to lemmings, and actually, as it turns out, is actually inaccurate. Lemmings do not follow each other off cliffs. That whole thing was staged. I read a thing about it, and lemmings actually don't. Biologists sometimes. Science. Anyway, so now we know about, first of all, lemmings and the correct application of 12.4A. Any questions? Anything you want me to follow up on? Please do let me know, because we are speeding through this. Good to see you, Samantha, by the way. Great to have you. Okay, let's go. We're just rocking.
Hey guys, when you're both ready,
This is the penalty stroke that follows.
Just where you're set up, yeah.
Has been made to wait here from Jocelyn Bartram.
But this isn't about any kind of decision.
Van der Borre puts it away right in the corner.
What I wanted to point out to you is actually the positioning of the controlling umpire in this situation. Okay. And Ali Keogh is not an accidental umpire. And this may well have been an experiment, but it is absolutely something that had to be a conscious decision, because there's two elements here. First of all, you can see the controlling umpire is actually side on to this ball. Normally, they would be back here. And from that position, that's been our traditional controlling umpire position. That gives you a good view of the ball being played and when the goalkeeper leaves the line. And seeing those two things simultaneously is quite important. In the last couple of years, let's say, we're having more and more discussions about whether balls are being dragged on penalty strokes. And in order to see the footwork of the players, this angle actually gives you, this flat angle is what you need in order to see where, to accurately see where the right foot lands as the ball is being played, and also if the play is being set up properly. So I showed a clip some time ago, last November, from the Pan Am Cup games, can't remember, Santiago, Chile, and Ben Peters was umpiring Argentina versus Chile. And in order to see where the player's foot was, he actually peeked, he stepped up and peeked around, went back to his spot, and then when the penalty stroke was taken, he called the free hit against the stroke taker for having their left foot in front of the ball in the starting position. To me, that's an opportunity to be proactive and not reactive. Probably for the rest of us, that's the better way to handle it at that level. Hey, I can understand. So consider that. But that is what we're looking at here with this. Oh, sorry. That's not looping at all. That's what we're looking at with this positioning. And the next thing that I wanted to point out as this is happening is support umpire position. Ordinarily, that supporting umpire would be about there, would be around the 5-meter mark, okay? And singularly focused on whether the ball actually crosses into the goal and fully crosses the line. When you think about percentages, how many times do we have to make a call about a goalkeeper leaving early? How many times do we need to make a call about a player dragging the ball or starting with improper foot position? Starting to get more. How often is the crucial decision whether or not the ball crosses the line? It's just not as often. From here, this umpire potentially has a view of whether the stroke is being played, is played after the goalkeeper makes the first movement, making the goalkeeper moving early. And perhaps this was an agreement. I haven't had a chance to ask yet, but it's something that we need to keep our eyes out on. I am here, as you all know, for any kind of challenge of the orthodoxy that is effective, that makes it easier for umpires to make hard decisions and to make them more accurately in a way that they can explain to teams and coaches and players and fans. So this may work. I'm inviting those of you who are in the Discord server, and if you're not in the Discord server, get in the Discord server because it's there. And hi, Baby Gravy. Nice to have you. Get in there and join the discussion. It's part of the Ask FHU. I started it. I asked to see if anybody else was, oops, this is supposed to be B, asking whether people would be willing to try this in certain situations. If you are a more senior umpire and you're comfortable at the level at which you're umpiring and you have a thorough pre-match chat with your colleague and you talk about how to do this, I'd like to know what your feedback is. Can you see what you need to see? Okay, so you need self-analysis, you need confidence, you need credibility because you're doing something different and the players might be going, what are you standing there for? And if you have coaches or assessors around, you better, first of all, don't do it when they're there, but you better talk to them about what you're thinking about doing and why, and get their buy-in before you do it. Okay, because this is very different. This is very different, but I quite like it. Amit, what a pleasure to have you. Good to see you. Hang on. Hi. I did it. Okay. So let's hear your thoughts on that at some point. And on to the next one.
Slip allows Ray. There's Lalit with the slip. Ray still going. That's
not the correct video.
Removal of the ball from the circle in rather
Hold, please.
creative fashion.
Here we go.
A little bit of the same today from the team against Korea. What a fantastic result this is, and a penalty stroke has been awarded here. Oh, we saw this blown, the interpretation blown this way consistently in the Olympic qualifier. Clear receiver coming into it, not allowing.
Okay, so in this case, we're at the Nations Cup, Korea, Spain, and my good friend and roommate in 2011, Mariana Redo of Argentina, is making a decision here, and a very confident, well-timed decision that that is an intentional breakdown of the 5-meter zone. Now, we do know, and I had a nice conversation with a couple of people at the pitch last night about the new rules about aerials. They're not new rules, but interceptions are permitted, but those interceptions have to be outside of playing distance and safe. In this case, this can't be an interception because it's within playing distance of the initial receiver, who is the Spanish attacker. Okay, and the Spanish attacker does the right thing. She doesn't take a big swing at it. She doesn't do anything crazy, but that is absolutely where her stick would have been. That is her playing area in that receiving area there. And the Korean player knows exactly where she is from where she's come from. She can see it. So that is deemed to be reckless as the result of breaking down the play and a penalty stroke. And Rachel agrees. And very good to see you, Ian, as well. That's fantastic. So, yes, this is one of the interesting parts, Rachel, about this whole penalty stroke thing, is that we don't have a lot of chances at it. But it's one of those things that you can try if you go to a team training. If there's anybody training in your area right now, I don't know if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or parts of Canada, lots of Canada actually right now, then you've got the opportunity to go and ask them at some point, hey, can we just run a few penalty strokes so I can try some things? Okay, so that's a really valuable opportunity, I think, that you might want to investigate so that you can get some experience in running this. And you need a colleague. Can't just be you. You need to have a colleague with you. So think about that as a possibility. Okay, there we go. Rolling fast. I love it. All right, announcements, because I have some flowers to give out. Here we are. Wait. Look, not mad at this young man right here, who has officially become a KNHB umpire by passing his PVB exam. I don't know what that stands for. I just know that he had to pass it in order to become a full-fledged KNHB umpire. Niels Decker, thank you very much for all you've contributed to FH Umpires, and particularly the Discord. He's the reason that we have a Discord. And it changed everything for me and my involvement with the community and all that sort of thing. So I will never forget that contribution. And to thank him, I didn't put up the picture of him sleeping, sitting up at EHCO. I put this lovely picture up for him. That's how I do that. Okay. Congratulations, Niels. AJ, good to have you. And you do agree. Okay. Excellent. Let's move on to our next topic, shall we? Since we're on a roll, 12:25. No!
National hockey than anybody else. He's not done yet.
Hang on. That's garbage. There. Oh.
National hockey than anybody else.
I wonder if I have screwed up any
yet.
other scenes. There's just too many scenes, friends. Too many scenes.
Here's Brandt. On the turn, gets the decision his way. Oh, and Van Opel will get onto it. He's all on his own at the minute.
Here we are. We are looking at a very interesting free hit decision. I absolutely adore this. I am so not mad. This was BELvCHN making this decision. And I mean, let's face it, the courage to see this and understand that a very experienced player at a very top level of hockey is basically trying to earn themselves a mulligan. They do play it forward, and they do play it with the intention of going for that pass. And when they realize that the pass isn't on, they pretend as though they haven't taken it. Okay. This is fairly earlier in the game. Let me see exactly where it is. I mean, it's Q1, six minutes in, so it's a good time if you're going to do something like this, and to make it clear that you are studying the players' actions in order to determine their true intentions. And I think it's a fabulous call. Love how you had a video umpire today in place for the place of the ball at the start of the shootout during the China GB match. Well, we are going to do that on replay, Tom, on Friday. No, not Friday, because I was going to take Friday off. Saturday. I need a rest day, friends. I need a rest day. Yeah, we're going to watch that game in the Discord and have a look at all those sort of things. And oops, absolutely, Rachel, being able to communicate with the players immediately, clearly and loudly, and it, you know, they might put their hands up, but then it's like, oh, well, we better bloody well get back, because it's very clear what the umpire is seeing. So I do give a lot of feedback and information about what kind of communication I think umpires should be optimizing for. What should they be spending their time on? And this is what I've seen right now in the moment is excellent and the right way to spend your valuable verbal capital with the players. Explaining decisions after the fact. So if he had then had a long conversation with the Australian defenders about why he allowed that to continue to play, and the play was going on and doing all kinds of things, well, that's not valuable. That is simply distracting you and probably not helping the issues very much. And players sometimes say, well, it's really great that they explain their decisions to me, but the thing that players should be prioritizing and should understand is it's actually better if that umpire is looking ahead, reading for the next decision, so they can make the next decision just as correct as the last one. And getting distracted by having a long conversation is not the best way to facilitate that. Okay. Ian agrees that it's a great call by Ben, or the call of taken is fabulous. Totally agree. And Irene, you need self-analysis. Don't we all? We will talk about this. Irene, I will have your graphic up next week, but you didn't join in time for me to be able to get it done for this. But Irene just joined our FH Umpires third team yellow. I'm very excited to be able to work with you as we go forward. And that is going to be one of the areas in which we're going to be able to do this sort of coaching. So I'm looking forward to it. Nobody was snoozing, but they have to, they're demonstrating a body language that, you know, I'm going to pretend that I've played it off and absolutely haven't. And yes, nice big shout out. My favorite word as an umpire is play. Very good. Yep. And there you go. Welcome to yellow. Hang on. I can do this. I can spray confetti whenever I want. I don't have to wait for certain scenes or anything like that. Okay, fabulous. You can tell that I haven't quite cleared my overlays properly. Let's just very quickly. What happened? What happened? What happened to my? Hold, please. I'll come back to that later when I can figure out my life. I don't know where my my scene went. It disappeared off my stream deck. So we're just going to go on to the next topic. which isn't this. It's this. Hard things. Did I say 1% improvement? Can I go to about like
Where you are,
0.25?
and you just have to hope now that your attackers go up the other end as Casella now comes in. Look at the space that's opened up here for Argentina as they drive forward, this time through Keenan. Still Keenan, just trying to get a little bit of a lift on the ball. I mean, there's all sorts of pushy, shovey. Casella got one and then gave it back. He's going to get a card here.
You go, and you go for the first one. And you go for the first one as well. Yes, you as well. No, it wasn't.
Well, he reacted. Argentina as they drive forward, this time through Keenan. Still Keenan, just trying to get a little bit of a lift on the ball. I mean, there's all sorts of pushy, shovey. Where you are, and you just have to hope now that your attackers go up the other end as Casella now.
Okay. So, good to see you. Where? There it is. Nice to have you. This is a great example of an appropriate use of double green cards for off-the-ball incidents that do not disadvantage either team from playing the ball in the immediacy. In one case, it could be a free hit out if the defenders had been disadvantaged from playing the ball on the second shove. On the first shove, it could have possibly been a penalty corner for an intentional foul against a player who did not have likely possession of the ball, but disadvantage did occur. But the umpire here doesn't see any actual disadvantage from playing it, just some really fun misconduct. Fun is the word that I'm using here. So what's nice is that since he's deemed it not to be disadvantageous and something he's going to interrupt the play with, is that he clocks that, okay, there's been one, and then I'm going to get the other one. And he communicates it very clearly to Casella. And I'm pronouncing that right because apparently his name's Italian, not Argentinian. So the Italians would pronounce the double L's like that. So Casella and I can't remember who collided with him. And it's an interesting assertiveness that you see from the defenders that is actually quite common inside the circle, where they think they can get away with a little off the ball thing, but because the player had already been off balance because of that little slide, maybe that wouldn't have been so much of a collision that took that player to the ground. In other circumstances, that is not the attacker making a meal of it. That is just a circumstance of how those two players came together, but absolutely created by the defender. And then the retaliation is obvious. For us as umpires, it's really beneficial. It's wonderful if we can see the first action and deal with that at the same time. We often get caught up because we're not sure about the first thing that we saw, but we absolutely saw the second thing. So we're going to deal with that and card that person off the pitch. Get the first one whenever you can. And if you're not sure about the first one, talk to your colleague. Use the radios. Really, really important. Anik, why not 2 times yellow? Because it's not big enough at this level for a 2 times yellow. Those are, those are players bumping into each other. So no. And no. I don't agree. It worked. This game was expertly managed by these players. And given that we are at, let's see, we've got Q3, 2 minutes left, 1-2 score line. It is a big part of the game where the warnings are effective. And just because it's physical contact doesn't mean it has to be a 5-minute yellow or has to be a 10-minute yellow. Okay. And these players know how to fall to the ground. Okay. So don't overreact to all of that. If your situation is different and a yellow card is necessary because the degree of physicality is higher, go ahead, but not here. Okay.
Tom, since the umpire gives both a green card, so also for the prior offense, could Argentina ask for the PC? No, because you still want to give, just because it happens inside the circle and it's off the ball doesn't mean that a team penalty should be associated with that. There has to be some kind of disadvantage. So what you're thinking about is, say that push takes the player down just before the ball gets crossed, and they would have otherwise got their stick on it and been able to play it. Okay, so it's closer to possession than that is. That's just misconduct off the ball. Okay, so that is not going to be a 12.3C situation. 12.3C. Let's see. I realize I've messed this up here by blocking. And let's see if it's going to come back. 3. Nope. We'll do this. We'll do this. Got it. And we are going to find the right provision here. Penalty corner is awarded. And do I? Yes, I do. B. I was so close. For an intentional offense in the circle by a defender against an opponent who does not have possession of the ball or the opportunity to play the ball. Okay. An offense still has to create disadvantage, though. And that is under 12.1. Okay. When a team has been disadvantaged by a team has been disadvantaged. So not just a player gets knocked over. It's got to affect the way that the play evolves. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay, so that was 3. Let's see if I have anything else to. I'm scared to push buttons now because I just don't know if it's going to work. Juan Pedro, if the first decision would be a PC, maybe the umpire avoids the next misconduct. The disadvantage wasn't there. So you don't just hand out penalty corners because you don't want to give a card. It needs to be associated with an actual disadvantage that accrues against the team. Okay? Corners are not, corners aren't just gifts that you hand out, especially at that level. Okay? A good thought, but not where we want to go with that. Okay. Is the second push then deemed more connected with the play and then blown as a foul? No. What was the restart in the case? Did the 2 offenses mount up? They weren't offenses against, they weren't foul offenses. Okay, so I believe, let's just see if we go, if I can check out Sean's signal here, what he called. Hold, please. Ball's there. So he's called a free hit. Okay, for the second. So sorry, let's go back to this. Okay. No, not more deliberate, but this is where, sorry, Tom, is your comment showing up on screen? No, it's not. Let's go back to this scene. Let's go back to this. There we go. Okay, so in this moment, Sean's called a free hit for the defense. So this comment, Tom, actually, the second push is actually deemed to be disadvantageous in that case. Okay, so is that clear? Sorry, I'm doing my best to keep up with all of this. So there you go. Thank you, Anik. Saw the free hit defense. And there we go. And for Simon, the free hit defense caused the defender potentially to fall into the path of the ball to goal, question mark. So yeah, that was probably it. Okay.
It's the way that Pinnacle have battled at the back of their defensive zone that's been so good.
It's just one of those things. When you're putting together 14 million pieces and then you fail to do any of them correctly. So hold please while you watch this replay. No, that's not the right scene either. Oh, Keely done. I'm gonna have to peek behind the scenes at every one of them now.
Rafi.
Okay.
Oh, he's hung that up, but he's not really got much in the way of distance. More distance up into the air than going forward, I think. Towards Capurro. This is going to be green cards, and it's exactly where they want to be, Argentina. Just the eat away. Well, the momentum being generated by Spain. Stopping that. 1:52, so that's the end of the game.
We do have a side-on angle, so we're filling in some blanks here, and part of it is that got a lot of confidence in the particular umpire who's making this decision here. That as the ball is being released, and look at the placement, look at where this is happening, just outside the 23. Kel Coinkydink. Okay, and you've got one attacker who's facing the ball and looks to be relatively stationary, and then you have two defenders converging from two different angles, both infringing, just right there. So that, I think, is a great example. We'll just, if I go back to this.
Rafi.
Okay,
oh,
so it's a great example of a time where a lot of people ask me, well, if it's a penalty corner inside the 23 and it's a penalty stroke inside the circle, well, where are the cards in the neutral zone? Here's one. And I think this may be the first one I have seen. And I watch hundreds of matches a year now. And this is the first one I've seen. If you've seen one, please let me know, because I'd like to collect it for my clips. And I will go seek it out. But to me, it's a fantastic decision, and clearly very accepted by the teams, even in a very contested situation. So, and would you look at that? Alex is here, and Ian, the pitch looks darker than John Orwell in Wapping. I don't get that reference, but it is very late. It is, I think the game started at 9, so this is probably around 10:30 p.m. in Antwerp. The old Lions and the old Lionesses, or the old Panthers, the old Red Lions and the old Red Panthers were doing the ball patrol, which was really kind of fun. So, yeah.
Harvey to carry it, literally, and in the end, Harvey is going to go and have a 2-minute sit down, it looks like.
I don't know what John Orwell is, so I don't know. It's your...
Was that a yellow card?
Okay.
Yeah, a yellow card, actually.
Yeah.
Stretch here going in for it, and right under the nose of Sean Edwards, wasn't it?
Card.
All right. So when this first happened, I was a little bit like, oh, okay. And I checked live, and yes, it was a 10-minute yellow card. But when you see it and you take some time to look it over, if your first instinct was wasn't a 10-minute yellow card, then let's go through it. Now, first of all, this is not a slide tackle. This is a sliding, diving motion, very reckless and dangerous to a player around. Okay, so you don't have to rely and you don't have to claim that this is a sliding tackle that brings a player to ground in order to say that's a 10-minute yellow card. What it is it's a sliding, diving that brings a player to ground that is just as dangerous as if it were a tackle. Just because it's contesting for a 50-50 ball doesn't mean players can act without regard for each other's safety. And when you see the level of danger, especially on the, not that angle, but when you see it from the other, it really is quite apparent. And I think an excellent decision that, again, didn't cause any ripples in this game whatsoever. And this is the same game that we had the double greens in for before. So yes, it's high risk, but it's just high danger. High danger. So players, it's that fine line between going for it and contesting and doing everything they can to get the ball and putting their opponents in danger. And that's what they really should not be doing. Okay. No, couldn't. I mean, you could argue that, but you'd be wrong. Okay. He absolutely is going at full stretch in order to reach the ball before it goes off the back line. Okay. So he's reckless as to that result. And should you learned in your CS Plus course, you learned indeed this should be a 10-minute yellow. You didn't think so at the time. He hit the ball first, but that's a football rule, not hockey. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, because we don't do football, do we? No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay, so that's 3C. We should be good. Okay. I'm just worried that whatever button I push, that something is going to be absolutely incorrect. So I'm going to go here. Hold, please. And I'm going to go to my overlays, so I'm ready for it. Okay, and if I do this, and I do this, and we're going to find it. It's in here somewhere. Product, what? It's like it's just disappeared off the face of the earth. I was going to talk about the season training plan. Okay, because the wait list is starting to fill up. Now, there's no actual, there's no maximum to how many people we're putting on the wait list. But when we open entries for the season training program or we open sales for that on June 15th, it's going to go open to the wait list first, because we need only a limited number of people joining that, 20 at the maximum. So if you're interested in finding out more about the season training program, then I would highly recommend that you get on the wait list. Plus, you're going to see a really cool, a really effective umpiring warm-up plan from Austin that he has provided. I found it. Hi, so this is it. QR code right here. And I'm really excited about this program. And if you're not following Austin at Run and Ref, no G, Run and Ref on the Instagrams in particular, that's where he does most of his posting. He puts out a lot of really, really solid information. So don't sleep on that. Go follow him. I've noticed that there's actually several FIH umpires who are following him. So that's a good sign that he knows what he's doing, and he's working really hard at this. So go ahead and give that a gander. Get on the wait list. Ask some questions about it if you're not sure what we're talking about, and I will get you sorted. Austin will get you sorted. We will get you all super sorted. Okay, where are we at? It's getting funny now. There we go. Tackling from behind things.
Between Gall and the on-rushing Abhishek, who carries on beyond Mandeep. That's really well played in underneath Abhishek's feet.
Set him up. That's really well. Again, stepping down. That's so good. Kumbambunga has read that like a book. Watch the line of run. Really good interchange. As we come down here, great little ball floated through. Now look how AUSvARG moves into the line of the defender. That is manufacturing a foul, trying to win a corner. Absolute rubbish. Umpire spotted it. Trying to manufacture something.
So this is one of the first times I have ever seen this particular decision made. And we've had a lot of conversations about what a ball carrier owes to a player who is chasing them from behind. And they are permitted to dribble in any direction they want. And it's the responsibility of the chasing defender not to bring them down or cut them down from behind. However, this is one of those extraordinarily over on the other side of the spectrum situations where the ball carrier is for no other reason. There is no reason for him to cut in the way that he is. And in fact, it is so much that he leaves the ball out and tries to use his body to actually clear out the defender, that you can either argue that this is a dive by the ball carrier, or this is interference or obstruction by the ball carrier on the defender who's chasing. The only thing I don't like about this situation is that the umpire is not in a great position to make the call. I would have loved to see them be in front of the play. And instead, you can sort of see when you look at the side angle that he's actually a little bit side on, which means that you're guessing as to how the players are coming together from that angle. I think he gets the call spot on, and that's great. But for us to make this decision better on a more regular basis, it's far more effective for us to be ahead of that play and welcoming it towards us so that we can get that spot on. Okay. That worked out so well. I couldn't have gotten this right. I did. For some reason, we don't have any volume, but that's okay. Was that the replay scene? Here we go.
Bring the foot to the floor again here. Ooh, it's a brave challenge.
You watch it on replay there. Yeah. That is.
When I saw this in real time, I was like, oh. But when you see it on the replay, the umpire actually just nails this. Very, very good call by Paul van den Assem of the Netherlands here, because it's risky. We know the players can tackle from anywhere, but they must be able to get the ball, and they must do so cleanly. And in this situation, the poke tackle from behind comes just before the player is taking their swing, and therefore it is deemed to be actually an obstruction against the ball by the attacker in terms of how they are swinging and taking the defender's stick away. Okay, because that's a poke forward, and that is fair game. It's right on the edge, and it's very, very risky, because if he gets that wrong, that's a penalty stroke. And we're seeing those being called with far more regularity, thankfully, because that is the correct decision. It is reckless as to the result of breaking down play, but you might get it right, like this player did. And we can contrast that with, let's see if this is going to work.
Show with a great run. Italy just waiting for somebody to come at, somebody to move. Getting away with it there was Victoria Kabut, but she has caught in the back behind her. She has caught in the face there. I think it was Cho. That looked a bit sore. Just winding up to have a bug. Well, fortunately didn't catch the eye or anything, just caught only eyes forward, and that's the danger of coming from the back there.
So You probably couldn't hear Tyrone. The video was very quiet coming from Terrassa here, but this is an example of a tackle from behind that goes wrong, and it is not the responsibility of the attacker here to know that there's somebody coming from behind and then not to hit that ball. That chasing defender was not in a position to get their stick on the ball, and it's their responsibility to protect themselves and not interfere with the stick of the attacker in this situation. And we see this happen frequently enough at many levels of play. And because a player gets injured, we feel sorry for them. And perhaps we don't make the correct decision in that case. This is absolutely a free hit. Could even be breakdown play in some situations, in some contexts, depending on what the impact was and that sort of thing. So thinking about that, you know, you may have even gone further on this. And this is a really good point, Alex. So just because somebody gets hurt doesn't mean that it's the other person's fault. Danger can be created by the player who is in danger. If I lay down on the turf, stretch my body out in front of somebody who's about to hit the ball, who has created the danger? I'm going to get pummeled, and I'm going to take a ball in a place where I absolutely should not be getting it, where I should not be playing it. But that's my fault. I put myself in that dangerous position. A player who occupies the post position, you know, just in front of the goal line, trying to stop a shot on a penalty corner without having the goalkeeping privileges that goalkeepers do and be able to use their body, they are putting themselves in that dangerous position because they are not trying to defend. They are not trying to tackle. They're not trying to mark. They are simply trying to stop a shot. So they have created their own danger. So we have to understand that not only do opponents have a responsibility to their opposite number to play safely, but you have a responsibility as a player to keep yourself safe too. And that is so reckless by that player. Okay. I hope all of that is quite clear. We are going very, very quickly. It's coming up to 1 o'clock, and this might be whoever put their money down on the Keeley hour and took the over. I'm sorry. Don't listen to me. I'm not a good betting person. But I just did want to pick up on this. Simon asking, let's create an alternative program running Umpire. Run and Ref is Austin's brand, and he very much respects that he is working with umpires in this particular context, but he works with refs in others. So rugby referees, soccer, football referees, baseball, basketball referees, those are all referees. So you might agree, but I'm not telling them what to do. And our program is the season training plan. So that should be that. Okay. Did I at least, I don't think I did this one. Hang on. I need to check, because if I get all 5 title scenes wrong, it's going to break my heart. It's going to break my heart, and I can't let y'all down like that. Yeah. Oh, that would have been even worse. That wasn't. Okay. We're ready to go. Published. PC things.
Again. It does. That's a drag is fit back to the pusher. Fired across. Bukaris makes a sound. Oh my word, what a finish! Reaction struck into the net. The net bulges. Some discussion going on, but here it goes, the slip. Pass back to the pusher, driven across by Suzuki. And the shot.
Could you check, please, if the first shot to the goal was high?
Was there one from the the side across. Let's have a look here. Was that a pass? Does that count as a shot? Is this the first shot? Tell you what, it was a brilliant finish.
Gemma, I have advice for you. The first shot on goal was high, therefore you can stay out with a free hit and they keep their referral.
Again.
Okay, so let's have a conversation about this and really break it down so that we know exactly what's happening. Okay, so what we're challenging here, what we're trying to sort out is what the first shot at goal is. Now that is not the first shot, and the question is whether this ball across is the first shot. Okay, if it's not, that is clearly a hit that goes up, that crosses the goal line at a height over 460 centimeters, so is going to be deemed as deemed to be a free hit out. Now, the decision that was made by the umpire on the pitch was for a goal. So what we're looking for, if you're a video umpire in this situation, is clear evidence that it's not a shot at goal. A shot at goal, remember, does not actually have to hit the goal. When we call it a shot, when we're strict about that, is when the actual shot could be dangerous to a defender. But in other contexts like this one, we should be more liberal because it takes away an opportunity from the attack. So what we have is the shot coming here. And it is clearly saved by the goalkeeper off her right kicker and pops out. Now, would that ball have gone in the goal had it not been saved if the goalkeeper had disappeared? Not necessarily. Could you deem that instead a pass? So intended by the attacker not to be a shot at goal? I don't believe so because of the positioning of these two attackers. Sorry, I'm in the way of their faces, but I think you can see that they're there. Okay, and then when the ball gets cleared up here, this part is very clear when you see it's a one-time lift and definitely crosses the goal line at an extra height. Okay. The other thing that I want you to consider is the spirit of the rule here. Okay. This is to prevent danger. This is to make sure that the first time that the ball is raised with a hit happens when the defenders have had an opportunity to get themselves out of that goal and into defensive positions, not standing on the back line. Okay. They're able to get out and the mark and dispossess and do all the things that defenders are supposed to be doing. So to me, the spirit is not to prevent, any shot from being raised. It's that the early shot that's raised, if it's raised with a hit, is going to be done so at a speed that defenders don't have an opportunity to protect themselves with. That is not the case here. So for me, it's important to keep those things in mind when we're making our decisions on the pitch, how we deem a shot at goal, and why we're deeming it that way. Okay? It doesn't have to be on target. So if I go to the rules, let's go back to these very, very handy rules. And we're going to go all the way back to the definitions. Okay. And let me do this. So here we go. This is kind of in my way. Shot at goal, the action of an attacker attempting to score by playing the ball towards the goal from within the circle. The ball may miss the goal, but the action is still a shot at goal if the player's intention is to score with a shot directed towards the goal. Okay, it doesn't have to be on target. That is a crucial distinction. And if they didn't want it to be a looser application, a looser guidance, they wouldn't have had this language in the rule books for so long. Okay, this is very, very intentional. And I can take that down. The only reason it went back to the attacker is because the goalie kicked it, plus angle looks like it was going goalwards. Like, it's hard to say. And if it's hard to say, and it isn't dangerous to the defenders at the time, then we should deem it a shot at goal. Okay, and for Rachel, the keeper's foot further out from the goal than pass. But no, because now you're saying that that it has to be going at it has to actually be going at the goal, and it doesn't. Okay, get rid of that. Okay, let's go back to our scenes. Here's our next scenario. This is not our next scenario. This is our next scenario.
Hoffman. Big deflection. It's gone in. And it's 2-0. And it looks to me like it was...
Germany, can we check the dangers of the height of the ball?
Yes, 1 moment, please. I will check it was dangerous. That's 1 moment.
So you're going to see it's Kira Horn, she's #1 runner. Comes off of her body potentially before it hits another one of her teammates' sticks. So we need to see if it hits #1 runner on a high position, or because I think when it comes off Wiedemann, that's not danger that's been created. It's if it does hit or is played through Kira Horn.
Ivona?
Yes.
I have an advice for you. The ball went wide of the goal, so therefore it's dangerous. And you can restart with a free hit, and Germany keep their referral.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a contrast of the spirit of what we're looking for a shot at goal, because of the danger to a defender that comes into play. So this ball is off target. It is intended to be a shot at goal, but it is going wide enough and it creates danger for the runner. It's hard to say whether it actually hits her or doesn't hit her, but she takes legitimate evasive action because she's actually offset. If that ball had been going on target, that would have been going to her stick. So in this case, it's going wide and creates danger. So we strictly interpret the shot at goal because the most important thing is player safety. And that's why in this case, it's going to be deemed to be dangerous and a free hit for the defense. And before I move on to the next one, I'm going to deal with a couple of these. As a coach, we train keepers to kick, intercept that pass across like the one from the pusher to that attacker lined up for the quick touch. So that's how you read that. The attacker wasn't in line for that. It wasn't intended as a pass. She was trying to get it on goal. Okay, and if it's a little off target, that's fine. Okay, and we can argue about that. But the umpire who was there, who was at a perfect angle to see it, deemed it to be a shot at goal. So that's where that goes. Let's try this. Here's the last one. We got 20 minutes.
By Li Hong.
Wow.
Into the circle again. China starting really positively. And the whistle has been blown just on the edge of the circle. And China are bleeding that.
No.
So inside or outside the circle?
I think there's a back stick from Belize.
So that's what China were appealing. But was that the first one there?
There was a foot in before, so the question is, what did she whistle for?
This might be the better angle. He clearly clips the bottom of the foot.
Yeah, we also clearly see the back stick.
Yeah, it's your decision. It's my advice.
So is there a back stick in the
Yeah,
circle?
there is a back stick inside the circle and there's a foot outside the circle.
Ole, can you have a look when we whistle?
So we're
Check it please with sound. If the back stick is after my whistle or before my whistle. If it's before my whistle, then it's a PC. If it's after my whistle, it's a free out. It's a free hit here.
I didn't hear anything yet.
Didn't hear that, but at this point. Whoa. A cry of back stake
Now
as
I
the
got
whistle
it.
is blown.
Okay, the whistle is after the back stick.
So PC if they keep the referral.
I mean, that's terrific in the end from the officials to get to the right call.
Okay, we can spend lots of time on this one because we have lots of time. So this is a highly unusual referral situation. And what I want to do is try to tie this into concepts that we actually apply at our level without video referral. But I will straighten out the whole referral parts too. So if it wasn't clear, there was absolutely a foot by a defender outside the circle. And that lane, that area of the pitch is a place where you often have a supporting umpire giving assistance to a control umpire because it's through bodies. There will be all kinds of bodies. You can see some of them already in this shot here in the circle, making it very difficult to see that. So you want the support to get in there. What happened in this situation is that the supporting umpire's whistle was late. And by the time it came in, because they realized, oh, I've seen a foot and my colleague hasn't seen it, so I'm going to blow it, which is a good reaction to have, something else has happened. And straightening that out on a video review situation is they get to the right result for the team. Because you can imagine that if the penalty corner isn't awarded, even though they're correct that a backstick occurred, they wouldn't necessarily lose the referral, because if something happens earlier in the passage of play that causes them not to get the result they want, they would keep their referral. Okay, so they would get the free hit for attack if, say, the whistle had sounded before the backstick had, and China would keep their referral if it's all applied correctly. But all the teams had continued to play on. So the principle that I want you to think about is advantage, because we sometimes get ourselves in situations where we're playing advantage from a foul that happens outside the circle. And the idea is, what's the best result for this team? Is it for me to blow the free hit, or is it for me to allow them to continue play and get in the circle? And once they get in the circle, they earn a penalty corner. And then we go, oh, sorry, it was the first one. And then we take it outside for absolutely no reason at all. That is an incorrect application of advantage. It is the foul that happens afterwards, because the better thing for the team in the moment of the free hit attack was to allow it to play. So that's advantage, it's played. And now the foul is the penalty corner that happens inside. Okay, so I hope that's really clear. We sometimes get a little too cute and confused, and we think we're holding the whistle. We're not holding the whistle for advantage. We are making a decision in that moment that I've decided that no matter what happens with this, the better opportunity for this team is for me not to call the play down, but to allow them to continue to whatever result they get. And in your mind, you have to be weighing, is the potential for what's going to happen here better than giving the free hit? And a free hit just outside the circle is kind of pants. It's not a great advantage for any attacking team. They can't go straight into the circle. There's lots of crowds. The angles, especially on that side, deep, are bad. So you want, sorry, I'm thinking of a scenario in my head, but the angles might be poor. So you want to continue. The better result is the continue of play. Okay. Is that fairly clear for everyone? Let me know. I hope it certainly, I hope it is. I hope it is. And let me go to some comments here. What's with all the blue umpires on the blue pitches? Just like umpires wearing green shirts on green pitches. Have you noticed that that's like one of the colors that you wear in England? Don't give me this. This is dumb. Okay. And you're just noticing this because you're seeing blue pitches. It really doesn't matter because the umpires in the view of each other are against a whole bunch of billboards around the side. So, oh dear. Sorry, there's a drunk bird outside who just slammed into the wall. I was like, there's a bird that's going to fly into my open window. So it's not an issue. It's not an issue because the umpires looking at each other are looking at each other against black and red, white and purple and lights and stands and all kinds of things. They can see each other. Okay. So how would you apply this without a VR? You would award the penalty corner after you get together for a consultation. You'd stop time and say, okay, so what happened? We saw a free hit outside, but I didn't have a chance to blow my whistle. Holding for advantage, whatever. My timing was poor and I didn't get that whistle in. And then the next thing that happened is a penalty corner inside. So we're going to award the penalty corner because that's the best result for the team that has been fouled twice. Okay. I hope that clears that up. I'm just waiting for the next, no, we don't have blonde moments. Blonde is smart. So it's okay. We're here to work things through and to talk them through. And I make lots of mistakes all the time, as you've seen in the show. It's been just a plethora of mistakes, but we recover and we work through it all. And Anik, absolutely. This is why you award the highest penalty. That is the spirit of our game, is to not get technical about, oh, that thing happened first, so we're going to call that first one. When we go back to the first one, it's because we weren't good enough. We weren't good enough to properly assess the advantage. And it actually wasn't a good opportunity. And then we're taking it back and we're like, oh, first one. I did that once last night in one of the city finals that I umpired for high school. And I was like, that was bad of me. Okay. Little knock upside the head. And then I moved on. That is different than, and you know, that is one thing, but at least you're getting the ball to the right team. But if the first foul is, you know, for the same team, and then for the same team, the next foul occurs and it's a better result, that's the one that you're going with. Okay. You're very welcome. Hey, it's good to work these things through. And sometimes it's the overthinking of it. I bet in the moment on the pitch, you'd have no problem making this call. And it's when we start getting a little too cute about the way that we're thinking about the game. And it just gets, you know, it just gets off. Just gets off. So don't put yourself through that. The reason that we do this prep work is that when we do it here, when we're on the pitch, it comes automatically. It comes on as a matter of habit. And that is the way that we need to umpire, is from our truthy place, from our gut, because we've trained our gut from our brain and everything works out well. That is all I have for today. What do you mean all I have for today? It was how many? 3, 12, 13 clips. 13 clips. So we just raced through them because we didn't do polls. But I hope you enjoyed that rapid fire format. Please feel free to give me feedback on what you think. I was a lot pushier with my stances on things today. You may have noticed. And maybe you don't like that. Maybe you do. Some people have reported to me, Keely, I wish you would just tell us what the answer is instead of, you know, messing around with all these things and being all nice. And all right, well, that was me not being very nice. So And you just caught up live. Oh, were you watching on 2 times speed because I wasn't talking fast enough? There you are. Thank you very much for joining in. I enjoyed it. It was nice to have you along. It is chaos. It is madness. We are in full-fledged Pro League at Lee Valley. The Antwerp leg has wrapped up. Thank goodness. We have Nations Cup in Terrassa. We have Nations Cup in Gniezno, Poland. And there's a lot of really fascinating games. So if you're not part of the FH Umpires third team, I'm just saying you might want to think about it. Oh, that's where I put it. I just found my scene. I just found my scene for the season training program. Anyway, but here it is. Here's this. This is where we spend time together, bonding in the Discord voice channel, watching games together, and we look at the games and we analyze them holistically and talk about issues that we see and different techniques and trends and patterns, and putting together a game from start to finish is a very valuable experience and very different from what we do on What Up Wednesday, where I'm taking little slices out and showing them to you to try to illustrate things. That's valuable too, but you need the whole package. So if you are interested, get over to FIHU3T.com or FIHumpires.com/FIHU3T. Let's see if I can do that really quickly. And give us a thought. Okay. Oh yeah, it was already there. Hi. And I'm happy to have a chat. Irene did it. Irene just did it. So, which makes me very happy. How you like that? And it's 1:23 and I'm early. So we're heading to the Discord, to the local, to have more chit chat and all that sort of thing. Lots more action coming up. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time on What Up Wednesday.